Well, what is compulsive buying and how is it different from impulsive buying?
Yeah, so the official therapeutic term right now is compulsive buying disorder, so CBD. It's easily referred to as compulsive shopping, and people who identify themselves refer to themselves as either compulsive shoppers, shopping addicts, or over shoppers. And so I will use those terms fluidly because that's what people call themselves. And so the difference between impulse buying and compulsive buying is that impulse buying is something just about everybody in North America does, and certainly, in a large portion of the world. It is usually triggered externally. So you'll be walking by a store window or you're browsing and you see something and you think, oh, yeah, this looks like me. This looks like what I want to own, or it's really cool. Compulsion is different in that although compulsive buyers are also impulsive, so they'll see things and buy, they also are driven from within, Brian. So quite often, if you ask a compulsive shopper how they're feeling, they'll say anxious, antsy, itchy, energetic, excited. And that's when they have to go shop. So they need a hit, right? And the difference between compulsive shopping as what I call a behavioral addiction and something like alcohol or substance abuse is that alcohol, you stop, right? You're never going to drink again. Substance abuse, you stop the drugs, you're never going to drink again or drug again. But with compulsive shopping, you can't ever stop shopping, right? Like imagine, if one person in the partnership said, can't do groceries because when I can't buy stuff, I buy more food by accident. So can't do groceries. Can't go into a drugstore to pick up cough medicine because, there's makeup or other gadgets, if you're a guy compulsive shopper. So you can never stop shopping. You have to go from compulsive to controlled. So it's super hard for people to do that because you can't turn off the tap. And
Right.
so they go through this agonizing process of, am I over shopping? Am I telling myself a story? Am I denying myself? What's happening here? It's very complex.
I never had considered the distinction between like a drug and alcohol addiction where it's just stop and a shopping addiction where you can't, you still have to buy. Why is, compulsive buying, impulsive buying, why is it such a big deal, particularly in relationships?
Yeah. So most people think compulsive buying equals debt. And yes, that does affect a relationship. But I will tell you, Brian, that my clients have spanned from 4 million in debt to 100 million in assets, and every normal person in between, right? So huge debt, huge wealth. So it goes beyond debt. I would say about half my clients have debt, the other half do not. So there are other things that really start affecting a family. Number one, role model for kids. Children have said to their compulsive parent, why do we have so many boxes? Why is there always stuff in the foyer?
Yeah.
So, it bothers kids, and or kids learn that stuff equals self-worth, which is not healthy. Financial infidelity happens frequently. And I have seen this actually laughed at in the New York Times. I've seen writers talk about, here's how people sneak stuff isn't into a home. Isn't that funny? No, it's not funny.
Right.
I've had clients who've had $100,000 in credit card debt they've hidden from their partner. I've had clients who receive boxes every day, cut up the boxes in little pieces so that they don't go into recycling, right? They go into the garbage hidden. And then
Jeez.
things are put into closets or wherever with the tags taken off. And no, I've always had this, right? So when you think of trust among a couple, there's a breach of trust there. There's dishonesty involved. There's clutter sometimes, which can be dangerous in households. Waste, always recycling, always taking time to have to return things. But then here's the other part that is more difficult to measure. When someone is a compulsive shopper, they are typically trying to suppress uncomfortable emotions.
Okay.
So they were on a call and their boss called them out and now they feel less than. They get off the call, they go shop to buy something that makes them feel more than. Or they'll be fighting with a partner and all of a sudden they, walk out and go to the mall because they don't want to deal with the issue. They don't want to deal with the emotions. Well, here's what happens. The more an uncomfortable emotion comes up, the more you go shopping. You start shutting out the world. Even when you're with your partner or your kids, you may be browsing and engaged in shopping instead. When you don't learn to deal with uncomfortable emotions and build confidence in overcoming them, you don't have emotional resilience. So if things start going wrong in the family where you need strength in both partners, you have a partner who does not have that emotional strength. And they can become emotionally dependent on their other partner. So it's not just about the money. It's about shutting out the world and not learning how to deal with the world to be a strong, supportive partner in a relationship.
Well said. So compulsive buying, shopping addiction, it seems to be covered in the media regularly, as you were alluding to earlier. But there are a few of you in the country who specialize in this area. Why so few?
So there are about, and this is underestimated, there are about 17 million people in the US alone who have this problem. So for those compulsive shopping, for those who are listening, you are not alone by any means. The challenge is that, and I'm going to go back for a second to alcohol. In the 1930s, the first AA group was created. And people thought, he or she is they're just drunk. They'll wake up with a hangover, they'll get over it, no big deal, right? Nobody understood everything else behind that. Here we are almost 100 years later. And I see over shopping as a similar issue. It is the smiled upon addiction. Shop till you drop. Shoppertainment. Go to the mall on the weekend, whether you want to socialize with your friends or the family's going because you can push strollers around. It's inside, it's nice and warm, and you can just shop around. And shopping supports the economy.
Right. Yeah, it is. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I don't believe there's some sort of I don't know what they call it. It's like evil people in the background that control all of this. But it's true that shopping supports the economy. All of us are going to act in our own best interest. And
Yeah.
if you own your own business, you're going to do what you can to encourage people to purchase your product or service. And, you know, if you are someone who is an impulsive buyer, you know, it's going to be harder for you to resist those temptations because they're all around you, right? I mean, consumerism in the United States is really tough for people to deal with, in particular because it's always at our fingertips right now, right? I mean, I can
Yes.
turn my phone on and Amazon's right there, or social media, right? I mean, there's a reason why that people are going to promote goods and services on social media. It's because they can capture your attention with some sort of emotional hook, and you've got your credit card in there that's already autofilled, and you're a click or two away from making the purchase. So when clients come to you, how do they feel? And if they mention their partners or their spouses, do they share how they also feel?
I will share a quotation with you, which has been said to me so many times. I'm not a stupid person. Why can't I stop?
Mm.
I'm going to share another interesting fact with you. The number one occupation of my clients who come to me are people in the mental health industry.
No kidding.
Psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists. People who help other people every day, and they're ripping their hair out saying, why can't I fix this? So there's incredible shame, guilt, embarrassment. There was one study I read where somebody had identified that the shame and guilt in overshopping was greater than in alcohol and substance abuse.
Wow.
So these people are hiding in denial. And when I ask them, okay, so you mentioned your partner, what do they say? And more often than not, the number one comment is, just stop.
Yeah, right.
Just stop it.
Yeah.
Right? And some are very supportive, either because they've worked with addicts before in their own family, or they've been through addiction and they kind of get it. But yeah, for some reason it's believed to be a narcissistic behavior, as opposed to almost the inverse. Most compulsive shoppers have low self-esteem. They're trying to buy self-esteem, a sense of belonging, self-actualization, love and affection. They're trying to buy these things through shopping.